Hey everyone, Rob Ryder here. Sunday, May 20th, 2012. We're going to talk about, this is mainly written for Americans, America, but it would be the same any place where we have dual nationality, which seems to be everywhere. You were given dual citizenship as a baby. You were made a national and a U.S. citizen. And the definition of citizenship is the state of being a citizen of a particular social, political, national, or human resources community. So, you can be a citizen of lots of different things, obviously. A few weeks ago, somebody had told me a story, and I don't remember the particulars, but the lady was having her battle in court, and the prosecutor said that she had not rejected the body politic. And so I think that they're talking about the political status of the citizenship. So she hadn't rejected the body politic of being a U.S. citizen, which we can do. So the term describing all citizens as a whole is citizenry. Now, in law, citizenship denotes a link between the individual and state. Under international law, citizenship is synonymous with nationality, so it means the same thing. So in law, which is superior to international law because it's not been modified, in law, citizenship denotes a link between the individual and the state. That's your immortal living soul in your earthen vessel. That's the link. International law, it's synonymous with your nationality. All right, so not only is it your individual in the state, now that's your nation. Although the two may, and may means must in law, have different meanings under national law. A person who does not have citizenship is in any state is stateless. Okay, so in national law, the word citizen and national must have different meanings. That's just what the definition of may is in law. So in 8 U.S.C. 1401, the following shall be nationals and citizens of the United States at birth. And one of them says, a person of unknown parentage found in the United States while under the age of 5 years, until shown prior to his attaining the age of 21 years, not to have been born in the United States. Okay? Well, we all are given guardian ad litem's. We're all considered deceased. The only reason we'd have a guardian is because they didn't know who our parents were, and this guardian got involved in your life back at the registration. And he's the one that set up the landed estate, your all capital letter name for you. Right, your Ponderosa was set up by your guardian ad litem, who then gave it lease to somebody for it. Been making rentless rent all these years, and they owe you some rent, which is the legal tender that we should be able to access with a check if we don't write the words in. We tell them we're an American national, and we're taking advantage of our national account because the bank at the top, which is your all capital letter name on the check when you look, that's actually the name of a national bank, small n national bank. But that isn't for this conversation. All right, so I think that this is where, and then we never said afterwards that before the age of 21, so they gave us the dual citizenship. We were made nationals and citizens of the United States at birth. Interesting, it says have been born. It didn't say birth, right? So not to have been born in the United States. And we never told them that, so they say that we were. We never rejected the presumption. Section 349 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S.C. 1481, as amended, states the U.S. citizens are subject to loss of citizenship if they perform certain specified acts voluntarily, by your will, voluntarily, and with intention to relinquish U.S. citizenship. Briefly stated, these acts include, well, obtaining naturalization in a foreign state. So if you get naturalized in another state and become a citizen of their corporation, well, then you give up the citizenship of this corporation. because we're only giving up the citizenship, not the nation, just the citizenship, U.S. citizenship. This is all about the difference between what a national is and a U.S. citizen. And whenever you're talking domestic law, these have to mean different things. National and citizenship have to be separated. Okay. The other way is formally renouncing U.S. citizenship before a U.S. diplomatic or consular office outside the United States. And then that section 349 reads, making a formal renunciation of nationality before a diplomatic or consular officer of the United States in a foreign state, in such form as may be prescribed by the Secretary of State. Okay, so if the American national, I'm going to call them that, well, you can call them national, I'm going to call them American national, I like that. The American national and the U.S. citizen are foreign to each other, then, you are in a foreign state right now. And because you're in your body and you're actually your own nation, you're always in a foreign state. The other way is formally renouncing U.S. citizenship within the U.S., but only under strict, narrow statutory conditions. Okay, well, as long as we follow the rules, we can do it. And it says there that making, so 349A, 6 is making in the United States a formal written renunciation of nationality in such form as may be described by and before such officer as may be designated by the Attorney General whenever the United States shall be in a state of war. I think we are. We all know that we're in a state of war. And the Attorney General shall approve such renunciation as not contrary to the interest of national defense. All right. Now this link here takes you to the Secretary of State's website, the United States Secretary of State, where they have this thing on certificates of non-citizen nationality. And these are just excerpts. I didn't put the whole thing on here, but in a nutshell, the Department of State occasionally receives requests for certificates of non-citizen national status pursuant to section yada yada of the Immigration Nationality Act 8 U.S.C. 1452 B2. Okay. So they occasionally receive a request for that. I wonder if they receive it for other things. They didn't say this is the only thing they receive it for. As the title of the certificate indicates, only a person who qualifies as a non-citizen national, i.e. person who is a U.S. national but not a U.S. citizen, is eligible to apply for such a certificate. Okay? All U.S. citizens are U.S. nationals, but only a relatively small number of persons acquire U.S. nationality without becoming U.S. citizens. Right? Because if you were born here, you were given both. If you came from somewhere else, well, you came with one, you're going to naturalize. You came with the nation of where you're born in, but you're going to come here and become a naturalized citizen. So all U.S. citizens are nationals. That's the way it starts out. But only a relatively small number of persons acquire U.S. nationality without becoming U.S. citizens. Okay, but apparently we can do a non-citizen certificate. So as the department receives few requests, there is no justification for the creation of a non-citizen national certificate. Designing a separate document that includes anti-fraud mechanisms was seen as an inefficient expenditure of resources. Therefore, the department determined that those who would be eligible to apply for such a certificate may apply for a United States passport that would delineate and certify their status as a national but not a citizen of the United States. So that would satisfy the Secretary of State if you just had a passport that said you were a U.S. national, not a U.S. citizen. All right, sound that hard? Okay. If a person believes he or she is eligible under the law as a non-citizen national of the United States, and the person complies with the provisions of 8 U.S.C. 1452, we'll go look at that in a second, B, 1 and 2, he/she may apply for a passport at any passport agency in the United States. And when applying, applicants must execute DS-11 and show documentary proof of their non-citizen national status. Show documentary proof of their non-citizen national status. Well, there's only a few kinds of proof. There's no proof, and that's papers with no seals. There's half proof, and that's when it's under the seal of a notary. And there's full proof, and that's when it's under the seal of a notary and a certificate of authority for the notary or an attestation. It's an attested document. Now it's a public record, full faith and credit, every court in the world. Okay? So they just want you to give them proof, documentary proof. So let's give them a public record that says that we are an American national and not a U.S. citizen. In Michigan, it's really easy to do. In fact, I've done one, and I'll show it to you here shortly. Complies with the provisions of, well, what's this 8 U.S.C. 1452 say we have to do to be able to do this? Well, what does it say? 8 U.S.C. 1452, Certificates of Citizenship or U.S. non-citizen national status procedure. Okay, so you can use this to get a certificate of citizenship or U.S. non-citizen national status. Excellent. So application to the Secretary of State for a certificate of non-citizen national status, proof, oath of allegiance. A person who claims to be a national, I do, but not a citizen, that is me, of the United States may apply to the Secretary of State for a certificate of non-citizen national status upon 1. Proof to the satisfaction of the Secretary of State that the applicant is a national but not a citizen of the United States. And in case such person was born outside the United States, well, that isn't me. So I don't need to worry about it. I just need to do 1. 2 doesn't apply. So I just need to give proof to the satisfaction of the Secretary of State that the applicant is a national but not a citizen of the United States. I think I can do that. And then it finishes up, the individual shall furnish the Secretary of State with a certificate of non-national status. So now we need to supply them, but only if the individual is at the same time within the United States or its outlying possessions, which goes back to where they said that we could do it with the passport agency. They're already telling us how to do it. Go here and do it. Go fill out a passport. That does go to the Secretary of State. So that's how you let the system know that you are a national, not a U.S. citizen. A little further. So this is back on that same page from the Secretary of State's website. Any person who becomes a citizen of the United States solely by virtue of yada yada may within 6 months after effective date of this or that become a national but not a citizen of the United States by making a declaration under oath before any court established for the Constitution of the United States or other court of record in the Commonwealth in the form that follows. So if you do this under oath, which is going before a notary, now this is court established by the Constitution or laws of the United States. If we can say that a notary is a judge, that's good enough. But I can go get one better. I can take the notary seal and go get a certificate of authority for the notary, and now I know it has full faith and credit by the Constitution. I don't need to worry about it. We can give them the proof that they need. And this is all they're asking you to say. I, Robert Allen Rutluski, being duly sworn, hereby declare my intention to be a national, but not a citizen of the United States. And you do that under seal, and you just gave them the proof they're asking for. It's that simple. I, Robert Allen Rutluski, being duly sworn, hereby declare my intention to be a national, but not a citizen of the United States. Well, of course, that's not quite enough writing for most of us, so yeah, we're going to write a little bit more than that, but I'm going to make sure it says that and then not contradict that by anything else I say. When applying for a U.S. passport in person, evidence of the U.S. citizenship must be submitted. Okay, so you got to give evidence of your citizenship, and that's what that certificate will be. It will be your certificate of non-U.S. citizenship. You must submit it with the form DS-11. All documentation submitted as citizenship evidence will be returned to you. These documents will be delivered with your newly issued U.S. passport or in a separate mailing. And there's a form for the passport. And one of the things I forgot to mention is I didn't put it on this link, but when you go look at this passport stuff, you know, you can get the regular passport you would use for international air travel, the book. And then there's the ID. And I can swear, when I was reading the stuff about the ID, that it says it's for all land crossings. And then it gives some examples like Mexico, Canada, whatever, right? But it says it's for all land crossings. And as a living man, you're always crossing the land. See, I think that's all you need to have as identification is that little pocket passport that says you're an American national, not a U.S. citizen, and then they don't have any authority over you. And that they know that. When they run that card, it's going to tell them you have no authority. Leave the man alone. So, but on this DS-11 instructions, so I went to the instruction sheet for the DS-11, and, you know, we got to give them evidence of our citizenship and identification. Those are the two big things. So, primary evidence of U.S. citizenship. And as you can see, you got a passport. There's the certified birth certificate. They always want you to bring the birth certificate. That would be primary evidence that you're a U.S. citizen. I don't think I want to bring that. I think I want to bring them the certificate of citizenship that says I'm an American national and not a United States citizen or U.S. citizen. So that's the primary evidence of citizenship. You can make up the certificate of citizenship to be certificate of non-citizen nationality, if that's what you want to call it. There's your title. Putting in this statement right here in a manner that after you put your seal on it, you're going to go to a notary and have her do a certificate of acknowledgement and get the certificate of authority, foolproof evidence, good in all courts in the world. So it will say that you are a non-U.S. citizen. Took care of that. And you got to give them identification. All right, so this part I need a little help with. When applying for a U.S. passport in person, acceptable identification must be presented at the time of application. When applying for a U.S. passport in person, acceptable, okay. Yeah, I said it twice. So here's the primary identification, one of the following. All right, I got an undamaged passport, naturalization certificate, valid driver's license, current government ID, current military ID. I don't know what a naturalization certificate is yet. I'm going to have to go look one up. I guess my point is, you know, all these have a picture on them, basically. So they're looking for something with a picture on it, identifying yourself. And so if you were to take this form that you made up here and put your picture on it and signed underneath it and said, you know, this is my identity, and now it's under the seal of a court of record, that one document may serve both purposes. So I'm thinking of sticking a passport picture on the one that I made up when I take it in there and then sign my name underneath it. And like I said, just add a little statement, this is my identity or something to that effect. And that will be my primary identification. You know, because it's... Otherwise, the things like this I have now all have the self-confessing stuff of being a U.S. citizen, and I don't want them to have that. But if you cannot submit primary identification, please see secondary identification. Yeah, there's always something. So what do we got for secondary? If you cannot present primary identification, you must submit as much secondary identification as possible. So a combination of identifying documents. Present a combination of documents that can be used to verify your personal identity. So that's what they're trying to identify, the personal identity. Have to look that up, see what that means. These documents are not acceptable as secondary identification when presented alone. So only one of them won't be enough. They're looking for a number of things. Social security card, credit card, employee ID, library card. Right? So now it looks like they're just looking for something with your signature on it. So that's your personal identity. And, we just need to be careful how our person's identified. Or make a public, or again, make a public record identifying yourself with a picture and your signature. I've identified myself. Or you can take in an identifying witness to say that you are who you say you are. All right, so back to this. So this part's really easy, right? We're gonna make up the certificate of citizenship. That wasn't a problem. The problem is, and it really isn't a problem once we figure out what it is what's the identification that we're going to use to allow us to go and fill out a passport that says we're an American national, not a U.S. citizen. And get the little travel thing, the one that's the size of a driver's license, and carry that. That's for all land crossings. And you cross the land all day long. That's all you do. You're a man of the earth. We're always crossing the land. So when they see that, I think they're going to leave us alone. And I'm not going to go into this stuff today, but other than to say there's some really interesting things to be found on this site. The Audiovisual Library of International Law. And basically that's what it has. It has all these videos from the, what's the court in The Hague called? Court of International Justice, I think. And from everything from diplomatic protection, law treaties, states, criminal law, procedures, just to name a few. So the thing about the diplomatic protection, right? Because you were given dual citizenship, well, you can call on either nation to come to your aid. That's what's supposed to happen if you're part of the nation, right? Your nation's supposed to come to your aid. So until people get this done, and we see if it works, first of all, right? But I think it will work. I'll be doing it next week. You just want to claim diplomatic protection. And so when you watch the video on diplomatic protection, when you understand that you have dual citizenship already, and now he's talking about somebody maybe in Ecuador and Germany as two nationalities, well, you still have two nationalities even though you haven't gone anywhere. You're surrounded by a world that has given you two different nationalities, and we need to get rid of the U.S. citizen one. I think we all know that. And then this is another site that's connected to the UN for the treaty section. And if you download this little booklet, it tells you all about treaties, and then search on the word accession. And to me, it sounds like they're talking about us ascending to these multinational peace treaties and being on the same footing as every other nation. And some of the research I did a couple days ago, you basically have to apply to be a nation accepted at the United Nations. So I'm going to send them. In fact, that one's done. I just need to get it in the mail, and because I really think that's the answer, right? You want to be acknowledged as being your own nation. And so I write my paperwork up to kind of show that. So here we go. So this is what I'm going to use for many different things, right? Many different things. But the certificate of non-citizenship to start with. I, Robert L. Rulewski, declare on this the 14th day of May in the year of our Lord 2012. This instrument as bona fide proof to all parties, public and private, of my status and character. I accept the oaths of all officers, bind them to it, remind them they have a fiduciary duty to me. I am Robert Allen, son of God, and sovereign head of state of my nation, whose signature and seal is, I write out my name, Robert Allen Rulewski, boom. And then I, and this is that line from the Secretary of State's website, Robert Allen Rytlewski, being duly sworn, hereby declare my intention to be a national, but not a citizen of the United States. I am of the nation of peace by origin, a sovereign state of the nation Rytlewski by descent, and an American national by choice. I am a landlord, lawful owner of my land and estate, my all capital letter name. It's real and personal property. My mailing address is, and then I'm going to put mine right there, Robert Allen Rytlewski, American national. Go down and have a notary do this. In fact, I've already done this. So after researching the word sworn, it doesn't necessarily mean you're taking an oath. You're doing an asseveration, asseveration, and a affirmation. Those are the same things. That's just a man calling himself in as a witness. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. I'm going to call myself in and call the Creator in as my second, personally. And then I'm calling them into the picture too, so now all our consciences can be before the Creator, can be before the court of conscience with the 24 elders who are going to pass judgment on the deeds done, and the Creator's going to hand down justice. And if a mortal living soul tells you he is, and you don't treat him as such, basically you say he isn't, that's heresy. Right? That damns your soul. To judge a righteous man damns their soul. There's all sorts of things that damn their soul that come out of the Bible, and I'm sure all holy scriptures of all kinds. And I'm just going to start using them on them. I'm bringing their conscience to life. Right now they're living in the dead. We need to pull them back to life. All right, guys. Have a great day.